Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is The Isolation and Loneliness of Motherhood is Real. And it follows a really beautiful email from a listener, which we just absolutely heartfelt adore and send out a huge, heartwarming, huge hug, sense of gratitude, because it's such a beautiful experience to read and feel another woman's truth. So we're hugely grateful. And then to be able to extend that out with a conversation and a podcast feels like medicine for us. So thank you very much to that beautiful listener. Before we jump into today's podcast, I'd love to remind you to jump onto nourishingthemother.com.au, scroll on down to the red banner, drop in your email, and you are part of our community. And we will send you an email every so often with all of the links that you need to be able to dive deeper where you would like to dive deeper. So come find out what's going on at nourishingthemother.com.au.
So the email goes, "Hi, Julie and Bridget. I am emailing you to let you know how much an impact your podcast has had throughout my entire mothering journey thus far. There have been times when I have felt truly hopeless and lost and then turned to your podcast for help. You articulate experiences that I am in the midst of, emotions that I am feeling in full force, but have not yet been able to explain because I don't have the vocabulary or points of reference to understand what I'm going through with my 18-month-old. Oh, right now I am actually trying not to burst into tears. It's been an extremely hard few months. In the last months, I have come to realize that society is not organized to support mothers, fathers, parents. I am so isolated. I feel alone, as if I am doing this motherhood thing on my own. This is not something that I anticipated. I ask other mothers about this and how they are feeling, and they feel the same. Why? How do we solve this issue? It feels like mother's group, daycare, help from my mum twice a week is not enough. I feel like we're all struggling without knowing how to change things. Is motherhood just as destined to be hard and stressful 90% of the time? There are times when I'm not the mother I thought I would be, simply because I am so fucking exhausted, I don't even know myself. Anyway, without putting the pressure on, I hope you realize how spectacular the space you've created for mothers really is. I have learnt more from you both and feel more connected by listening to your conversations than I have through interactions with my own mother. The conversations hold the listener and are deeply nourishing. I am so grateful for your support. Jen."
Ugh. Just like my heart wants to break and melt and weep and do all of the things at once.
I know, right? Yeah. Because, Julie and I can sit here and have these conversations and wonder if anyone's actually listening.
Totally true. Who knows?
We just put it out into the ether and see who picks it up. So it really is deeply, deeply fulfilling for us to hear that these conversations are a lifeline for some mothers. That just makes them so worth having for us.
It really does. So we would really love to be able to meet your conversation where you have so beautifully led it. beautiful listener, Jen. And where we want to begin with that is self-validation.
Yes, because we can't ask the outer world to love the pieces of us that we're struggling or can't love or can't own or can't validate. It's futile.
They mirror reflections, really. So, you only feel seen to the extent you see yourself, and validated to the extent that you value yourself. And if you have lived a life thus far looking for that sense of fullness from an external world in which this entire world is orchestrated toward.
For us to do that.
This is the problem with sticker charts and praise and systems orchestrated for good behavior that is rewarded and bad behavior that is punished. You are not alone. We literally, as a culture, are programmed to look for the validation and sense of achievement, success, and self as reflected externally. Hierarchies and ladders of success and trajectories that are mapped out and clearly tangible. So I really want you to know that even as you hear us say, we've got to stop looking for the validation outside of ourselves, is that we say that not with a sense of shame or harsh critique, but with a sense of deep knowing that because this world does not validate the experience of mothers or value the gifts and the service of motherhood, you must. You must lead the change. You must see your worth and prove it to your own conscious mind over and over. Because or else that fall from being orchestrated into a system of good girl, bad girl, and receiving praise at school and praise from peers and praise from parents and praise from boys and praise from professors and praise from family as you get the whatever job that you have trained to get, and then praise from the manager or from your boss, and you become trained to look for that sense of self and validation literally outside of you. So then you come to motherhood and there is no boss and there is no one saying good job. And really 98% of the work you do, no one sees. We are setting mothers up for a pretty significant fall.
Enormously so. And that is also, I think, why so many mothers who may not even like their jobs, value their jobs, really want to leave their children when they're really little, do, because at least in a job, someone's going to see them, right? And the work of mothering is both deeply undervalued and often intensely challenging.
Totally.
And so it's like this double-edged sword that if you're not practiced at knowing how to wield in a way that means that you can extract the delight and extract the meaning in what can feel like, breaking open, that it can be really seductive to subordinate to that system that will have you perform for your worthiness.
Yeah, exactly. Ouch. So when it comes to, is motherhood just a hard slog all of the time? No, I don't think that it has to be. But if you are stuck in the sludge and the mud, then I would say that you're not seeing the grace and the beauty that is you and your everyday motions. And so before there can be a change in a larger system that sees and supports mothers, there has to be a grassroots movement that begins with you, that begins with, I see what I do. I see the impact I'm having on this world. I value what it is that I'm working so hard at every day, and how I'm stretching and morphing every day and transforming every day. And I bow at the feet of that. And people feel that reverence and that honor from you. You don't even have to say it out loud. They can feel it. And even those people that don't value motherhood, or that, you know, because that's going to happen because we have different value systems. And some of us really value motherhood as like the path of the greatest everything. And just equally so, there's some of us that really do not. And that has nothing to do with motherhood. And that has nothing to do with you. It's just values, specifically tailored to that one soul's growth. So it doesn't mean anything other than that's not the path for that one soul. But it is my path. How do I know that it's my path? Because I'm better when I'm in it. You know, when I've lost myself and I'm feeling shit and funky and like, who the heck am I? I make sure I spend a good solid 2 days of zero work, zero anything else, zero distractions, just being around my kids. It's like a trip to the biggest day spa I've ever been at, because it's my top value. But it may not be yours. And that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you don't love your children. It doesn't mean anything other than, is this the most inspiring path for me right now? And if the answer is yes, then you've got to be courageously willing to see that. You've got to be courageously willing to really breathe in the grace and love that is present in the tiny moments of wonder with a lit up smile from one child. Or when you could lose yourself in those eyes, when you know you've connected on such a deep level that they're like, I don't know, feels like I'm drinking in this warm grandmother's soup as I gaze into that connection in the eyes of my child. So you've got to see the impact you're having first before anyone else in the world can see it or chooses to see it. And if you're not feeling valued in that, there may be that you need more rest, or you need to be seen in how hard it is, because nothing has to change. But what can make an enormous impact is just being seen in your struggle. There is a massive difference between me being stoic and putting on, you know, a stiff upper lip and just kind of like gritting my teeth and getting through a day that's been fucking brutal, versus me having a setup with my partner that's like, I need some listening time tonight. Today's been fucking rough. And him just seeing and witnessing me as I let the authenticity of everything I've been holding in that day pour out of me. To be seen and witnessed in that authenticity changes it immediately, and I am no longer stuck in the sludge of holding on to the sludge. It's gone from my body. I'm seen. I'm validated in that moment because my struggle and my pain is recognized. I'm not on an island on my own. Hey, this thing happened today. I need to share this with you. What do you need? Is always the question that comes back. That's a setup conversation with my partner. What do you need? Well, after I've got it all out and my body's back and I've not dysregulated and holding on to old stuck feelings and old back pocket arguments, then I'm free. What do I need? Fuck, what do I need? What do I need to feel really good? What do I need to enjoy my day? Oh, that's right. I need these things. I forgot. I need a really good lunch. That's right. I haven't been preparing that. I forgot that I need early nights. What do I need to have an early night? There's usually only 3 or 4 things that you really honestly need for your own well-being and care. But we so often forget them.
And sometimes too, it can be a pattern of like, if you're not paying attention to that, then you'll be on a pattern of like, okay, well, I need something different then. I just need different. And then you load yourself up with a Netflix series or too much time scrolling, or which actually still just leave you empty and more conflicted often. And so I love that reminder of it's often those simplest building blocks.
It really is. So you've got to value yourself first. So if your pain is not being witnessed, if your struggle is not being seen in a way that feels like it hits that sweet spot and you kind of erupt and empty, and then you're back to feeling regulated and harmonious and in connection and love, if that isn't the state that you're starting at, that has to be step number one. You can't connect if you're so full of content and stress and pressure and pain and unmet needs that they're like, and you can't even feel a baseline to be able to connect. So that has to be number one. I think number two then really needs to be that you are stacking the evidence for the value in the work that you do to contribute to this one child, to contribute to the pattern changes and cycle changes of a lineage, which is no small task. Holy moly.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Right? The shit that we are epigenetically programmed with, that we are here in this lifetime that we have never had before, in which we have the freedom and the capacity to change things that have been ingrained, particularly in women, for centuries, is no small thing. When you weep for all the women. When you scream for all the women. Like sometimes it's not even just you. So you have to see what you're doing and the impact you're having on your lineage, on every child that comes after you, on your children's children. Like you have to see how profound that is and how important it is that you're here. And then you have to ask yourself, what is it that I need to feel good here without anything changing externally to me? What do I need to feel good here? So, I mean, maybe you and I could just riff on that conversation a little bit. I know that 100% of the time for me, it's slow the fuck down. So I just need to move with greater intention and way slower. So that really means seriously walking slower, feeling my body while I'm moving, more music, candles, scents, things that bring me back into my body, because my mind will go forwards and backwards, future and past, but my body is here. And here in this moment is the most perfect love, if only I'd be open to it.
I love that reminder because it's so true.
So true. It's the only thing that's right here. It's the only thing that keeps you right here. So come back to it and come back to it and come back to it. What do you need to come back to it? That's what I need. What do you need, Pritchie?
I need my space to be supportive of that connection to my body. So for me, I feel scattered often and overwhelmed when all I look is everywhere I look, there's a surface that's saying, do something with me. You know, like I'm unfinished. This needs moving. This needs sorting. This needs fixing. This needs addressing.
Ah, yes.
When my space is like that, I find it really jarring and distracting, and can often take away from the presence that my child's asking of me, because it's like I'm trying to orient to them, but my brain's kind of still going, yeah, but there's this stuff around. Like
everything's yelling at you.
It just feels like noise, you know, like it's registering as noise for me. And so that for me is something, in addition to that, the slowing down and also noticing when I'm seeking more input, like content, as escape, when actually I need to orient to my immediate environment and how that environment could shift to help me come back more into my body and into this present moment. And so how can I create that? And also how can I support my family to want to create that too? because I don't believe that it's all my job either.
Totes, what does that mean?
So it means, I mean, I have like a bit of a soft structure with my kids around them doing certain jobs. So those things need to be done, you know, before iPad time, for example. And that I know that my nights particularly are set up so that they have a really strong rhythm to them. That means that I don't feel overwhelmed by them, that I can flow through each of those phases of the evening without feeling like I'm trying to hurry them to bed, for example. And so that feels really supportive to me, to be able to know that that holds me, and therefore, because that holds me, I can hold them through these transitions. Yeah. But yeah, the structure to create that freedom is really important, I think.
I think we would both offer also, please go back to the recent podcast on finding your people, finding your community. I can't remember what we titled it. Yeah. It was something like that, wasn't it?
I think it was around, finding your community. I can't remember the exact word, but it was all about, you know, the conversation around the absence of the village and therefore where is the village, because we can long for that physical village of days gone by where, you know, the women washed together and, you know, everything, we cooked together and it was deeply communal. But to be caught in the past like that has our hearts longing and wishing things were different, whereas I think, as you and I love to do, we love to ask, well, where's the new form of that? Like, where is it transformed? Because no energy is destroyed, it's just changing form. So where is the village now? And we see a lot of it online. And it's possible to create deeply nurturing, connected relationships online that can then also pave the way to physical communities that you can create, and that often ask you to let go of your assumptions of who you think your peeps are too, and find, you know, common ground among diverse women, and that they can be your community.
Amen. And the last point that we wanted to it's kind of the same point, actually. I was going to say the last point, we had 3 points down here that we really wanted to sit with, was that no one else will see you if you're not seeing you. So, but I think really what we want to sit in is also, I think we probably had that third point first. So let's go back to our original one, which is just actually really seeing and sitting in the experience that is feeling deeply isolated and deeply lonely, even though what I hear from this listener is, you know, I have mother's group once a week. I have childcare once a week, I think. I have my mum twice a week. Like, that for me is an amazing amount of support. I've never had a mum around me. I've never had daycare. And I've had a mother's group that I had to find because the one I ended up in wasn't great. So that says to me that there's something a little bit out of alignment with either the type of care that you're getting or what you're doing with your time when you are there. And I wonder if it would be a beautiful experience for you to really sit in the pain that you're feeling and let that move through your body, even doing mirror work and just witnessing yourself in the pain. If you don't even have a relationship with it, you feel can hold that at the moment. You might be taking small steps towards that, but also seeing yourself in that, because it's so interesting, isn't it, that even with potentially having people around you every day, you can still feel deeply lonely in motherhood. But that really means there's pieces of you that are not being met or that are being hidden and therefore can't be touched or seen or known, because it's not deeply restorative or nurturing. So isolation and loneliness in motherhood is absolutely a real experience, because you are raising these humans, what feels like largely on your own, and no one sees the extent to which you go through to do that deep and profound work, and it's relentless. There is no lunch break. There is no 9 to 5. There are no holidays. There are no sick days. In fact, parenting when you're sick is literally the pits.
Yeah.
It's literally the worst. It is the worst. So I just think also we've got to realize the enormity of the task. We have never in human history ever had to do what we're doing now. Even back in our, what we might consider our idealized versions of village living, or the 50s where women potentially didn't work, or, you know, who knows, even up to the 70s. We were still in houses, communities, courts and streets where all of the kids hung out together.
It's true.
Where we house jumped because no one had cars or moved around or had extracurriculars or whatever the case may be. This is the only time in human history that we are asked to do literally everything.
And then, of course, it's no wonder then that there's, you know, so many kids who are so many parents who screen their kids. Because in the absence of the neighborhood, in the absence of that time when the kids were sent outside and told to come home for dinner, you know, the outside is the wonderland of the screen. And I mean, that's the new form of that, right? I know I totally digressed a bit. You took me on a journey there.
No, well, it's fascinating though, isn't it? That's why we can't judge the screen, because I also think we're doing a lot.
Yeah.
We're doing way more than we have ever had to do in human history, ever.
And it's interesting too when you listen to, Dr. Sophie Brock, she talks about, you know, mothers are mothering for so many more hours per week than they ever have before. Like mothering are more intensive than our mothers spent. There wasn't any focus or intensity on.
It's so easy to freaking judge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so easy to judge. But the truth is, this has never happened in human history before. So it's okay that you need a break and you need to find what it is that deeply nourishes you and who it is and what it is that deeply validates and sees your experience, because it has never happened in human history before. Not with your mother, not with your grandmother. It's never happened before.
Yeah.
So we probably just need to look at motherhood with a slightly different context and lens. I really deeply want you to know that when it really gets hard, just get out of the house.
That's the best. Like, honestly, I remember with my first baby and like that being just the difference in my day.
Totally.
And I think most mothers would agree, like it just needing to get out of the four walls.
Totally.
And also when you have a little child, like a toddler, is to do something that wears them out in the morning. Because often when they've had that chance to be out in nature or they've had a chance to run around, then their play in the afternoon comes back in. You know, they come and they play differently when they've had that chance to express in the morning.
Totally. Out in the morning, home in the afternoon, I think is a beautiful rhythm if that works for you. I just thought of something then and then it just left my head again. Nope, it's gone. Doesn't matter. It'll come back if it needs to. But I do think we are yet as a society to catch up with the pressures of which motherhood is under now. The mental load is like freaking next level. And then there's all of the tasks, and there is a bar set for motherhood now that again has never existed before.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Like if your kids survived in the 70s, that was kind of like fist pumping. We're far beyond survival now. We're into what does it look like to create an optimal human. But that's not one person's task.
No, but yet it can feel like it.
No, it can feel like it, right? But I just want to have that reflection of it's not. It's not. So the isolation and the sense of loneliness is real because you're spending so much time doing the minutiae of little humans learning and the tasks of cleaning and picking up after someone that can have you feeling like Cinderella. But if you only see your role as motherhood as there and you stop there, you'll never see the bigger picture and the grace with which you are weaving your world or your child. So do you want you to see bigger, see the grace with which you're doing? I think you do that greater when you're out in nature and you're moving around and doing things. I think that gets to be really beautiful to really see and witness your child outside of your home environment, I think is really affirming and really beautiful. So I do think do that. Find your people. They do exist and promise they exist. So find them sooner rather than later. If you know you're hungry for connection and community now, go find them and don't stop at the first whatever. Keep searching and searching and searching like you were searching for the love of your life for how many years and with what level of intensity. Search for the women who hold your heart and save your soul with the same valor. Because it is women, particularly mothers, who will save you over and over from the desperation that is loneliness and isolation. And I don't think we need that more than at any other time than we need it now in, COVID and post-COVID. So please go and find those people. Please know that the feelings associated with being unseen and unheard and unappreciated in the everyday slug and just the mental load of motherhood that we see that and we get that. But we really want you to see that and get that for you too, so that you're able to balance your nourishment, I think, on the other pillar.
That's beautiful advice.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
I just really want to see you. I just really want every mother who listens to this, who finds herself in that place, is to just take this conversation that we're offering here as our way of saying that we really see you in it and feel you in it and know the depths of that often too through various parts in our mothering, and no doubt we'll meet it again. But it is often for us a beacon home to what we need. What do I need right now? Where am I not seeing myself right now? How could I see more than what I'm seeing right now? Knowing that we're just always filtering our reality, always. And so how could we see this differently? More expansively?
So we would love to know how this conversation has touched you in your experience. And indeed, if you would like us to take it further and perhaps you have other questions or comments, and that might lead on to another conversation. So please reach out to us at Nourishing the Mother on Facebook and Instagram, nourishingthemother.com.au, or email connect@nourishingthemother.com.au. And connect with you, Bridget.
Is bridgetwood.life, and you, Jules?
Is julietenner.love.
Remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.
This has been a production of thewellnesscouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on facebook.com/thewellnesscouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.